What's up, everyone? Welcome to the video. We are going road course racing for the first time in 2023. We're at COTA, Circuit of the Americas, for the EchoPark Automotive Grand Prix taking place on Sunday, March 26th in Austin, Texas, around 3:30 p.m. Eastern. And yes, I know road courses are not the most exciting. They're certainly not for me, but for DFS purposes, they're really not that bad. Without these stage cautions this year, which is a new twist, I think it's going to make it even more projectable, which is always good news for DFS players. But anyway, if this is your first time here, what's up? My name is Pennell. I break down NASCAR DFS each and every single week on this channel. Just find me live on Sunday mornings, breaking down the entire slate, answering any questions you guys may end up having, and plan for that being around 11 a.m. Eastern. Once again this week, hope to see you all there. And if you guys do enjoy today's free content, you guys can just leave me a like down below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet done so, and feel free to leave a comment down below, being nice, being mean. I don't really care either way, but I'd love to hear from you. All right, so getting to the strategy portion of this video, road courses are going to be a bit different than all the ovals that we're going to visit. Not only just because we're turning right instead of left sometimes, but there's also a big difference in the amount of downward points that we have available to us. We have 68 laps this week. That equates to just under 50 total dominator points. You have some caution laps mixed in there. It takes it even away a little bit more. So while it's nice to have the main dominator in your lineup, I'm still focused on finishing position for the most part. Yes, place differential is always there, but I feel like the passing is going to be at a minimum on Sunday. So I am really just focused on getting the drivers that were the fastest over the course of this weekend, fastest in qualifying, fastest in practice, because I don't think, like I said, the passing will be much. So the fastest drivers will probably be starting closer to the front. So I'm going to be sticking to those guys no matter where they start. So for me, this is a finishing position type race, and I'll pretty much leave it at that. I also want to mention that we are running a different aero package this week compared to last year, which if you saw in practice, the Toyotas who were awful last year, we're actually pretty fast in practice, so it looks like it's going to make a bit of a difference this week, which is nice to see. And also COTA, if you're looking for similar tracks, it's on the technical road course side. So I would basically be looking at COTA from last year, obviously. You can also look at Sonoma, Watkins Glen, those types of tracks, and also Road America. But I'm kind of removing the Rovals from that. I think it's fine to throw the Rovals in there if you're looking at road courses in general over the course of the past couple of seasons. But if you're looking specifically at COTA, it's definitely more technical, and then comparing it to some of the Rovals that we have. And moving on to the driver by driver breakdown portion here, I do have to mention a couple things first. So first off, if you want to join the best NASCAR DFS community out there, we'd love to have you. We've got a couple hundred people over there. Links down below in the description or in the pinned comment. If you enjoy the free stuff over on YouTube, there's a lot more to unlock over on the Patreon site. I have projections for all sports. We have the prop tool. I have the betting tool as well, with just running all my simulations, top dominator, top win percentage. Have the simulation score tab, which I think is something I use each and every single week. I think it's very important to use. You can find the leverage, projected ownership compared to my optimal percentage, and it has just everything you need on there. Just tons of predictive data. I have all the historical data as well, but that can only take you so far. I think the predictive data is something that will definitely be more important to you. There's a lot more other stuff as well, like the optimizer and article and the Discord community, which we are active 24/7 in the NASCAR channel there. So I highly recommend you get in there, as it's always a very fun time. And I do cover other sports as well, including baseball, which starts in just about a week. I'll be doing that each and every single day in a similar fashion to what I do for NASCAR. So if you like the NASCAR stuff, you'll probably like the baseball content as well. So again, link down below in the description or the pinned comment to come in, check it out. All right, so let's get into the driver breakdown here. And qualifying just ended a few moments ago. So this is my first reactions, first run through the entire slate with you all. So we're going through this together. Obviously, the more updated stuff will be posted later on, and I'll have a live stream on Sunday morning to break it all down with you guys. But just going through my first rundown here. Now, fortunately enough for us, we did a practice on Friday, a nice hour-long session, just about. So I was able to gloss over that over the past day, which is nice, because I was like having a little bit of time to digest the information here. And these are not the most up-to-date odds. These are the odds after practice. They have not yet posted after qualifying, and I have to imagine they will shift around a little bit. But let's start up top with the man Kyle Larson, $10,400, 14K. Over on FanDuel, the most expensive driver on both sites. He's starting at 13th. Opened up with the best odds to win this race in Vegas. He did get bumped by Tyler Reddick. No surprise. We'll talk about him in a little bit. But it's hard not to like Larson starting at 13th. I mean, he's been great at road courses, and obviously we have the best road course racer out this week, so it opens up the field a little bit more. And you can make a case for Kyle Larson being the next best guy over the past couple of seasons. If you're looking at his numbers in this 8-race sample size that I'm looking at since 2021 at the more technical road courses. And then if we go over to the next section, is going to be since 2021 at all the road courses, which is a 12 race sample size. But I'm going to try to focus on this 8 race sample size the most here. And yes, I know we're using a different aero package this week, but I mean, let's not try to get too picky. I don't think the difference is going to be much. As we saw in qualifying and practice, the drivers you'd expect to be fast were pretty much fast for the most part. But Kyle Larson here since 2021, 3 wins, 5 top 5s, the most laps led, the most fast laps, the best driver rating, the best average running position. Not starting near the very front, so he's going to offer you a little bit of place differential upside. And I mean, he should be a contender in this race. He was fast in practice, P2 in the 1 lap, P4 in the 5 lap. So I have no issues with Kyle Larson. I think he's fine in any format here. The only downside is the price point. But if he comes out there and wins, you're going to want him in your lineup. So I'll definitely try to get Larson exposure. Kyle Busch is kind of in the same boat here. Really, all these 10K guys are just about the same play. They're all fast in practice. They're all in great cars. And they've all had success at road courses in the past. So I don't really think there's going to be too much of a difference here. If I had to pick my favorite, it would probably be Kyle Larson. He does offer the most place differential upside. And the 5 cars obviously have been amazing so far this season. But Kyle Busch is in the A car. We know Kyle Busch kind of sucked at the road courses last year, but Toyota in general was just really, really slow. Now he's moving to the car that was the best at road courses last year, which should give him a bit of a bump here. And we saw he was fast in practice. He's been good at the technical road courses. So yeah, Kyle Busch, he's fine in my eyes, but I think he might be the lower owned of the bunch of these 3 because he has the least amount of place differential. So if you're looking for the pivot from these 2, Busch is fine, but I'll be honest, they're just about the same play. And then Ross Chastain, $10,100. He too, very fast in practice, amazing at the road courses last year, super fast. If you're looking at the green flag speed, he is near the tops of the charts at the road courses last season. As you can see, averaging the most DraftKings points per race. He won this specific race last year, 6 top 10s the past 8 races, has a win, 3 top 5s. So yeah, pretty much the same play as Kyle Larson. Just pick your favorite. I would do a coin flip, but if I had to pick, I'm going to rank it Larson 1, Chastain 2, and then Kyle Busch 3, but all will be projected very similar. Moving down to the 9K range, we have probably the fastest driver of the weekend, Tyler Reddick, $9,900. He's starting in second, currently has the best odds to win this race. Over in Vegas at plus 500, DraftKings did take the lines down. I think he's going to probably be at 450, might stay at 500, but would not be surprised to see that in the 4s by Sunday morning. I was able to hop on him on FanDuel at plus 900 during practice because for some reason they don't take their lines down. So if you're someone that's in a legal betting state, I am not. I just text a friend. Don't tell anyone. But check out FanDuel because they do not pull the lines down. You can get some massive value over there if you're just watching practice. So Reddick, he's currently the favorite. He was first in the 1 lap, first in the 5 lap. I thought he was going to get the pole, but kind of messed up a corner. But still going to be on the front row here. We know how good he was at the road courses last year. Had a win, 2 top 5s, 6 top 10s since 2021. The only concern heading into the weekend for me was that Reddick is going to be in a Toyota. And we know they struggled last year, but it seems like that issue is fixed because Reddick is extremely fast and some of the other Toyotas didn't have some bad speed either. So definitely like Reddick here. Cash games, it's a bit tough starting in the front row, but I mean, it looks like he's going to have the car to beat. And if he gets up front, leads all the laps and wins the race, you're going to want him in your lineups. You know, cash is going to be a bit tough here. I have to run my ownership and sims like that, so I'm not going to plant a flag on Tyler Reddick for cash or not yet. But I'll tell you right now, I'll have plenty of exposure in tournaments because that car looks really good, and I don't want to fade a fast car. AJ Allmendinger, $9,700. He's starting in 7th. Wasn't like super impressive in practice. Only had an 18 lap, or not 18 lap. I wish we had 18 laps. He was 18th in the 1 lap, and that was pretty much all I got. But in qualifying, he was top 10. It's AJ Allmendinger at a road course. He's always going to be in contention. Honestly, could have won this COTA race last year, but him and Alex Bowman and Ross Chastain were playing bumper cars with AJ Allmendinger in the middle, and it sucked because he got wrecked out and finished in the 30s, I believe, which is going to skew some of these stats. But Dinger's going to be in play for tournaments. I don't think a lot of people are going to go there because you have William Byron on the pole. You have Tyler Reddick right beside him. Then you have Blaney starting in the very back in 38th. And you obviously have the big dogs in the 10K range. So we could get lower ownership on Dinger, and it wasn't like he was super fast in practice. So I don't think he's a bad tournament spot at all. William Byron on the pole here at $9,500. Kind of cheap this week. I mean, how good the 24 car has been this year, and I would not be surprised if he came out and won this race. I'm not projecting Byron to win. I believe my Sims have Reddick winning as of right now, but I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if he's in the front row, which he is. He's in the pole. He's in the best position to lead laps, which he has done at road courses before. Obviously, since 2021, it hasn't been the best of the technical road courses, only 2.5 laps led per race, but Byron could come out and lead 30 laps and contend to win this race. And if he does that, you're going to want him in your lineup here. And he's currently at plus 900. I imagine once the DK odds update, that might get down to like 7 if I had to guess, since he's on the front row. But I do like Byron in tournaments. Again, it's really tough. I mean, you have Tyler Reddick on the front row, so I hate to say William Byron's a cash play, but I do like the price point. And again, I'm not fading fast cars no matter where they start at road courses, because the passing is probably going to be difficult. And if they're just going to stick around where they start, hey, I want them in my lineups. Christopher Bell, $9,300. He's starting in 14th. So he was like one of the few Toyotas that actually could find some success at the road courses last year. Obviously, hasn't had a win at a technical road course since 2021. If you expand this to the past 12 races, he actually does have a win. I believe it was at the Daytona road course, if I remember correctly. 3 top 5s and 6 top 10s. So Bell's going to be in play for me, but practice wasn't anything too amazing. 17th in the 1 lap, 9th in the 5 lap. I think he'll be okay for where he's starting in 14th. And he's definitely a pivot option off of Ryan Blaney. I mean, Blaney's starting in the very back, but again, their practice speeds were pretty similar, so it's kind of tough. But track position is certainly going to be important this week. So I think Bell's a fine tournament play, but I definitely won't get to him too much, I don't think, because I'll definitely have a lot of Byron, Allmendinger, Reddick exposure, and I like Daniel Suarez as well, so I just can't play everybody, unfortunately, even though I want to. Ryan Blaney, $9,100, really cheap on FanDuel. Definitely going to be extremely chalky over there on both sites, I should say. I mean, the pricing is pretty fair. But starting in 38th, you don't need much. You just need him to finish the race, because we know Ryan Blaney should be a top 15 contender. Practice speeds indicated that, just really screwed up qualifying. But it's hard not to like him here. I mean, he's not a terrible road course driver. Past 8 races of the technical road courses, average finish of 13.5. Finished in the top 20 all but one time. 5 top 15s out of 8 races. So if you're playing cash games, you're playing Blaney. If you're playing tournaments, you're probably still playing him, but I'd be careful with the ownership, because there is some pretty good pivots around him, like Suarez, like Cindric. Like, let's say Ryan Blaney gets stuck in the 20s all day and just can't move, but a guy like Daniel Suarez finishes P3. That's more appealing for tournaments, so just be careful with your ownership. But again, if you are playing cash games, he's a lock. Daniel Suarez, $9,000. He's starting in 5th. I did read that I guess he hasn't seen his mom or sister for like 6 months now, and they drove all the way up from Mexico to watch this race in Austin, Texas. So if you're looking for a good narrative or a good feel-good story, well, Suarez has that working for him. But he won a technical road course last year at Sonoma, has 3 top 5s, led some laps last year. I don't think he's a bad tournament play. He was top 5 in practice. We know how good Trackhouse was at the road courses last year, so I think he's fine for tournaments, but cash games, it's a bit rough at that price point to get there. Austin Cindric's just about the same play as Daniel Suarez, in my opinion, starting us off in the 8K range. He's $8,800. Starting in 3rd, if you're playing Cindric, you basically need him to hold position or outright win the race, which is certainly possible. We know Cindric's super good at road courses, really good at them. And the Xfinity Series was top 10 in practice, really fast in qualifying. I only had 1 top 5 of the technical road courses last year, though. Well, since 2021, I should say. 6 race sample size, 3 top 10s. I'm expecting him to finish like in the top 6, top 8. But again, for where he's starting, you're kind of hoping he wins. So I'll probably have somewhat limited exposure, but probably not too far off of Suarez, although Suarez does offer you just a little bit of more place differential upside. Joey Logano, $8,700. He's starting in 15th. Absolutely dominated last week, although last week is a lot different than this week. Logano's not a bad road course driver, and I don't hate the price point. He was 9th in the 1 lap in practice. He's someone that I feel like I don't think anyone's really going to go to their way to play Joey Logano, but at the same time, you're not really actively fading him either, because he's capable of having good road course races. The past 8 at the technical road courses, he's had 3 top 5s, 4 top 10s, and 5 top 20s. So I'm okay with Logano. He's not like someone I'm just rushing in line to play, but I will play him whenever the optimizer gives me. I think it's probably going to be fair, because he's favorably priced on both sides. But Alex Bowman's not a bad pivot here, starting in 6th, $8,600. Really cheap on FanDuel, $8,000. He's someone I could probably see myself getting to quite a bit. But he had a good run at COTA last year. He finished at 12.9 on the road courses. But for where he's starting, you kind of need a top 5 run, which is certainly possible. We know Hendrick's going to be fast. I mean, practice times were incredible for Bowman, 20th in 1 lap and 10th in the 5 lap. But someone to keep your eye on tournaments. I do think he's a better play over on FanDuel, though. Denny Hamlin, $8,500. You're probably thinking, whoa, this is a really cheap price point on Hamlin. He's starting in the 20s. This is the easiest play of the century. Well, you got to be careful with the Toyotas. I know Tyler Reddick's on a rocket ship, but P19 in the 1 lap in practice, P8 in the 5 lap, which does look a little bit better. But, I mean, besides Reddick, I'm not, like, super excited about any of the Toyotas. I know last year we kind of fell into the Toyota trap early on, because we saw the place differential, and they're like, well, these guys are usually pretty good at road courses. Let's just lock them in and take our points. Well, it wasn't really the case. They kind of just did not move, and I could kind of see that happening once again. Now, I'm definitely higher on Toyota than I was last year late in the season, where I was just like auto-fading, not playing one of those guys. I mean, I like the 5-lap that I saw out of Hamlin, but I'm just not sure he's going to be a top 15 contender in this race. Like, could he finish 16th through 20th? Sure, I just don't think the Toyotas are going to be that great. So I feel like while he looks like a great play on paper, I'm just not sure how much he's actually going to move through the field. So I'd be careful with Hamlin. Chase Briscoe, $8,300. He's starting in 19th. Typically a guy we always looked at road courses, but I just feel like the finishes are never there for him. But that's usually just because he's starting so much further up. But we actually do have some place differential upside this time, starting mid-pack here in 19th. No top 5s to show for it since 2021 at the technical road courses, but does have 3 top 10s and 5 top 15s. So I don't think Briscoe's a terrible play, but man, practice was not that impressive. P26 in the 1 lap and didn't get anything after that. So again, I'll be careful with my Briscoe exposure, similar to Denny Hamlin, although I do think Briscoe might have a little bit more upside, but we'll see. Martin Truex Jr., $8,200 starting in 25th. If this was back in the day, this would be a lock, but again, times have changed, and Truex, he was once one of the better road course drivers in the series, just him and Chase Elliott taking turns. Not really the case anymore. Like, Truex at 25th, $8,200 does not really excite me, which is sad to say these days, but he was a fringe top 20 car in practice, 21st and 20th. And if you're looking back since last season, like, he wasn't bad. Like, don't forget, these are some 2021 numbers, which does beef it up a little bit. But I'm just not super excited about Truex. People are going to play him, but this could be chalk that I'm looking to get away from. And, like, I feel like guys like Logano, Bowman, that kind of range just gets me more excited than Truex does in 25th, especially if the ownership is going to be higher. I think he could challenge for a top 20, but I'm just not sure it's going to be optimal. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not sure he's going to contend for a top 10. So we'll see. I mean, safe-ish play, sure, but I'm just afraid he's going to be slow and kind of stuck in that 20th range, which is not going to be fun during the race. Kevin Harvick, $8,000 starting in 29th. Similar boat to Martin Truex Jr. He has had some good runs at road courses before. He was actually picking up good finishes at them last year. Wasn't necessarily super fast. He was at the one race, I want to say it was Sonoma, if I remember correctly. And if you're looking at the past 8 races at them, he has a top 5, 3 top 10s, and 5 top 15s. It's probably not going to be pretty out of Kevin Harvick. I don't think he's got a fast car this weekend. Was 16th in the 5-lap. If you're just looking for a place differential play, Harvick, the thing about Harvick is he might not be fast, but he usually doesn't make much mistakes. So he'll let other guys make mistakes and he'll just gain his spots there. And then by the end of the race, you're like, how did Kevin Harvick get into the top 15? It's just because he runs a clean race, a smart race. And so I don't hate him, $8,000, but I'm not like super excited about it. Dropping down to the 7K range, Brad Keselowski, $7,900. He's starting all the way back in 30th, 24th in the 1 lap in practice, 13th in the 5-lap. I mean, we do have some decent names here that offer us some place differentials, so it's going to be tempting to get there, but we do have to be careful about rostering these drivers that were slow. Just because they have place differential does not mean they're going to gain a ton of spots. There's a good chance a decent chunk of these drivers starting near the back are probably going to stay back there because the fast cars, for the most part, are starting up towards the front, and they're probably going to stay there. So where's the passing going to come from? There's going to be a few drivers that can gain for sure, but I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see much overall. So they're like in cash game consideration, if that makes sense, but for tournaments, I could be looking to be a bit under-owned. The Sims will tell a story for me, but I'm just trying to guess what they will say. Chris Buescher, his teammate, $7,700. He was a guy like Michael McDowell that we played at the road courses just about every single week last year, and it worked out a lot. As you can see, some nice green bars here from Chris Buescher. Top 20 machine, was in the top 10 a lot last year, 12.8 average finish since 2021. Starting all the way back in the 32nd, like, these guys are going to pop in optimizers, or they're going to pop for cash games, and I get it. You're just taking the floor there, but for tournaments, similar to Brad Keselowski, you need to be careful because they didn't show a ton of speed in practice. 31st in the 1 lap and then 18th in the 5-lap. It's not like they're just going to randomly get a ton of speed from Friday and Saturday they didn't have and just magically be there on Sunday. Jordan Taylor is not a terrible pivot away from Keselowski, Buescher, Harvick, Truex chalk. Like, he has legit speed this week. He was P10 in the 1 lap in practice. He's in the 9 car. We know Hendrick's going to be fast. We know the 9 cars had a ton of success at road courses. I am not calling Jordan Taylor Chase Elliott, but man, he looked really good in qualifying on Saturday. And obviously on Friday, he had a pretty fast car as well. We don't have any data to look at here for Taylor. but he was at 2,500 before qualifying. Wouldn't be surprised if we see a 1 in the front there by the end, maybe like a 1,600, 1,800. But he looks fast, and I think in tournaments, he's worthy of a play at that price point on both sides. Eric Jones, $7,400. He's starting in 8th. Wasn't that great at the road courses last year. Showed some speed in qualifying. Showed a little bit of speed in practice as well. P14 in the 1 lap. He's not a bad road course driver. It's just last year, a lot of the times he was stuck in the mud, and I played him several times, and I finally got off the train after a while. But starting in 8th, it's a bit high for me. I don't think I'll have much Eric Jones exposure. I'd rather play Jordan Taylor personally. Jimmy Johnson, $7,300. His teammate, starting in 31st. He's probably just going to be in the back all day. Like, again, do not chase place differential just for the sake of place differential. I mean, if this race runs green, which we don't have stage cautions to bunch these guys up a lot, I mean, the slow cars are just going to be slow. They're going to be in the back. They're not going to have chances to randomly get up front, pitting early for stage caution, because we're just not going to get that this year. And then we have Michael McDowell. I think he's one of the drivers that does offer place differential upside that could move through the path because he actually showed some legit speed during practice. And we know how good he was at the road courses last year. He's always had some road course success. But P6 in the 1 lap in practice, P7 in the 5 lap. Ended up screwing up his qualifying run, got into the gravel, made another run. So fortunately enough, he's not going to be complete chalk in the back. But I do imagine the ownership will be pretty high. But I like Michael McDowell here. Should be a top 10 contender. I bet him for a top 10 and plus like 155 or 145, something like that. I mean, I was hoping he was going to start inside the top 10. So unfortunately, starting in 20th, he's got some ground to make up. But I certainly think he can do that. I mean, he was really fast at them last year. Don't think that's going to go away. And what we saw in practice looked pretty good. Kimi Räikkönen, one of the F1 drivers, $7,000. He's in for Trackhouse Racing, $6,000 over on FanDuel, starting in 22nd. P32 in the 1 lap in practice, P22 in the 5 lap. And it's just starting a bit high for me. I mean, if he was in the 30s or even late 20s, I'd be more interested. But I feel like it's kind of be right around where he's going to finish. I'd rather play Michael McDowell starting 2 spots further up. And even Bubba Wallace right below him showed a ton of speed. So speaking of Bubba, let's get into the 6K range, $6,900. He is free on FanDuel, $3,500. I get it. He's so bad at road courses. But qualified 11th, fast in practice, P8 in the 1 lap, P6 in the 5 lap. We can look at the history. We know it's bad. Average finish of 30.5, 1 top 15, 1 top 20, averaging 4.6 DraftKings points per race. Simply put, he sucks at road courses. He's not good at all. But his teammate Tyler Reddick, he's pretty freaking good at road courses, and I'm sure he's learning a lot from Tyler Reddick just following the things he is doing. Now, it's easier said than done in practice and qualifying. It's a little bit different when you have 40 cars around you during the race and tensions are higher, so we'll see if he screws up like he usually does. But if Bubba can run a clean race, that's a big if. Looks like he's got some speed, and he is free. FanDuel, I mean, $3,500, you can do a lot with $3,500 in your lineup, so I don't think he's a bad play over there. DraftKings, tournament flyer, sure if you believe in the speed, but I have my concerns that might go south during the race just because of his history. Jenson Button, $6,800, starting in 24th. He's in the 15 car this week. Just one of the other drivers that pop in this week that are new. Didn't look that fast in practice, starting a bit high for me. I feel like his upside's pretty capped, so I don't think I'm going to go there. I'd rather play Ty Gibbs personally, starting in 17, $6,600, cheap on FanDuel. Pretty much a top 12 car in practice, and we know he's had success at road courses in the past, so I'm fine with Ty Gibbs here, starting in 17th. I actually think he's one of the better cheap plays on the board. Austin Dillon, who used to be absolutely awful at road courses, he's definitely been improved, pretty much a top 15, top 20 machine at these since the past couple years now. He's starting back in 28th, and well, he didn't really show any speed in practice. 30th in the 1 lap, was P11 in the 5 lap, which was nice to see. I mean, Kyle Busch being there should help him a little bit as well. Just learning from him. I mean, if you're looking at the road courses, past 8 races, the technical ones, average finish 15th, 6 top 15s, 7 top 20s. I don't hate Austin Dillon. I'm not sure the projections will love him, but I mean, I don't think he's a terrible play starting back in 28th. Although, if Dillon was going to have higher ownership than Gibbs, starting that much further back, I'd still rather get the Gibbs in tournaments personally. Justin Haley starting in 2030, $6,200. Didn't show any speed. P34 in the 1 lap, 21st in the 5 lap. I know he's not a bad road course driver, but I just think there's more upside with other guys, so I'll probably be passing on Justin Haley. Ryan Prix, $6,000 on both sides. He's starting in 26, look a little bit faster in practice. I'd rather get the Priest personally. I don't think he's a terrible play. Should be a top 20 contender, so I'm fine with Priest back there. Could be a nice pivot off of Almirola, who I'm getting tired of Almirola, Chuck. I don't know about you guys, but it's not been fun. And he's starting dead last this time, and slow in practice. He sucks at road courses. He has like a 50% success rate since 2021, finishing in the top 20 at these, which isn't terrible, but man, I'm so tired of playing Almirola, but starting dead last, I mean, as long as he doesn't wreck out, which, look, he's been really good at that so far this season. There's a good chance he's optimal if he doesn't wreck, but I still want to get to some pivots. Like, if Prix can finish 18th and Almirola's like stuck in 28th all day, I'd rather have Prix in that situation. Let's say Ty Gibbs is knocking the door for a top 10, I'd rather be there. So there's pivots here. Don't think you're completely trapped in playing Almirola. But if you are playing cash games, it probably makes sense to play him. But I apologize in advance when he spins out in the gravel in the first turn of the race or something like that, because it's probably what's going to happen. And I mean, he sucks in road courses. Like, he was super slow in practice, 35th and 26th. So I'm not expecting much here. If you're playing Almirola, though, you're probably playing cash and just hoping he doesn't wreck. Noah Gragson showed a lot of speed with his teammate Eric Jones. He's starting in 10th, 25th, and 17th in practice. I'm expecting him to fall back, so I just don't have much real interest there. I like the price point. And again, if you're looking for pivots off of Almirola, if you think Gragson can hold a top 12 all day, that's not a bad pivot. I just don't think that's going to happen. Todd Gillen, $5,400, starting in 36. I know he had that one magical run at Indy last year, just because that track is awful and needs nuked. But I don't hate Todd Gillen. Like, Gillen's a legit pivot off of Almirola, and he's going to have lower ownership, and it looks like he's got a faster car. 27th in the 1 lap, 15th in the 5 lap. I really don't think that's a bad pivot off of Almirola chalk at lower ownership. Harrison Burton, he's starting in 16th. It's a bit high for me if you're looking at practice. 15th in the 1 lap, 23rd in the 5 lap. Like, again, if you're just looking for pivots off of Almirola, sure. But I'm not expecting miracles out of Harrison Burton here. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., he qualified a bit high for me, starting in 18th. 13th in the 1 lap in practice, which wasn't bad, though, and he's dirt cheap. So, I mean, if you're just looking to try to get different, I don't want to play 100% Eric Almirola. I'm going to have to get exposure to some of these other guys to fit in the studs. So, Stenhouse will probably just get filtered in here and there. Corey LaJoie starting in 27th. Don't usually play him at road courses. It doesn't typically end very well. Did have 2 top 20s since last year, or past 2 seasons, but we're talking about an average finish of 26.8. Running position of 25th, which is right around where he's starting. So I'm going to pass on LaJoie. And I'm not playing Daly. I'm not playing Cody Ware. Ty Dillon is cheap. That's the nicest thing I can say, really. I mean, he was in better equipment. Now he's in a downgraded car, so I'm not expecting much out of Ty Dillon. But if you need an absolute free flyer to fit in a bunch of studs, you could probably do worse than Ty Dillon. And then you have Josh Bilicki here in 33rd. He's not the worst road course racer, but again, I'm not probably getting any of those cheap drivers this week. With that being said, guys, that's all I got for you this week. I hope you did enjoy, and if you did, make sure you leave a like down below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet done so. I forgot to mention these sponsors, Prize Picks and Underdog. Check them out if you haven't yet done so. Promo code CPEN, instant deposit match bonus up to $100. Link down below in the description or the pinned comment. I hope to see you all on the live stream on Sunday around 11 a.m. Eastern. And if you want to check out the extra content, links down below for the Patreon as well. I'll be posting all the simulation scores, projections, and all that fun stuff over there later this evening. So I wish you all the best of luck. I'll see you all next time, and peace.